Hello today, and this is going to be a video where I'll talk about the past, the present and the future of gaming, computer games, video games. That's it. Right, so basically where did it all start? Well, I think the first console came out in 1972 with the old Magnavox Odyssey, where the game was just basically something simple. Basically, and you had a little ball in the middle. Bong, bing, bong, bing. No sounds. You know, you had to keep resetting it when the ball went out of play, but you know, you have to start from somewhere. Then it came to the 70s. Well, it was in the 70s anyway. Well, I was born in the 70s, so I don't really remember the Odyssey. I just I just remember I got the emulation of it, so I know that's where it all started. And what made it big in the gaming industry was the Atari 2600. And I think that came out in the, I don't know, was it the mid 70s, the late 70s? I don't know. I never fucking researched these things anyway. So yeah, I think that's what made the game in industry home, well, for the home use anyway, because we had our arcade games that all started in the 70s, I think, and that's where a lot of people started gaming, was in the arcades. Well, I know I did, because you know it all started in the 80s, but we're not going. I've done videos of that, so we're not going to go into my history of gaming, but I'm just talking about the history of gaming. So basically the Atari 2600 started, Atari Software, Activision. I think it's the oldest gaming house, software house, whatever you want to call it. The publisher, yeah, basically it's the publisher. Activision started in the late 70s and they still going today. And they haven't even changed their logo in after all them years. It's still the same logo. Yeah, good on them. Good old Activision. Yeah, I remember Ghostbusters for my Amstrad. Yes. Yeah. So Activision. Well, they've been around for a long, long time, so they know what they're doing. Maybe. Hopefully. Yeah, so the Atari 2600, then that's the consoles, and we started in the computers, like we had loads of different computers, loads of different 8-bit computers, and that was the beauty of it. We had so many different systems, you know, depending on people's budgets, what their friends had, you know, they tended to go their own ways with the 8-bit systems. If it was a computer or even a game console, but you can guarantee the majority of the games were the same title, but they all look completely different, unless you owned a ZX Spectrum and an Amstrad, which was usually ZX Spectrum ports for the Amstrad. Not all the time, but it did get annoying, considering the Amstrad had more sophisticated hardware. But no, I owned an Amstrad, and it really did piss me off when we did get ZX Spectrum ports for it, when we know it could have been better, but we're not going to talk about that. But that was the beauty of these different 8-bit systems. You can guarantee, just save, I don't know, Ghostbusters, I don't know. I think they did look pretty much the same on the Commodore 64, the Amstrad. Never played the ZX Spectrum version, but I don't know, just an example. You can guarantee they will look different, they will obviously sound different, and that's what you don't get with consoles these days, like the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, even the PC. Graphically, they all look identical. They look fantastic, of course they do. They sound identical. Well, sounds real life. So, okay, the PC might have a better frame rate. Okay, it's going to have higher resolution graphics. But apart from that, there's no real differences. So you can't really. It's hard to compare. Oh, what is better? Oh, yeah. Well, it looks it looks the same. Sounds the same. Plays the same. Obviously, we've got all different controllers, but we did back in the day. We all had different joysticks. You know. But yeah, I think the past. You know, it was a great. I liked the gaming industry in the past. It was brilliant. Okay, you did take a chance buying these games, like I did with Outrun on the Amstrad. Whoever's owned it on the Amstrad will feel the same way. I paid $9.99 for that. $9.99 was considered like premium prices back in the day, like the 80s. For a game that was top price for an 8-bit game, $9.99, you know, and you can get a game like as low as $1.99, and usually these games were pretty good. For $1.99 you can't really argue, like the old Mastertronic titles. Okay, some of them were pretty crap, but it was obviously I didn't read magazines or look at the demos or anything like that. Sometimes I just look at the cover art and think, oh, I'll take a chance on this one. $1.99, come on, it's only £2. And there was another thing, you could build up a collection of games back then. It was, you know, you go for the cheap games, you could buy it like for $1.99. You could buy 5 games to equivalent to a £10 game, which wasn't really that much better. Well, depends how it was programmed. It's like everything, but you know, I didn't mind taking a risk for $1.99 or $2.99. I didn't mind, and usually, game was pretty good anyway. I had no complaints about it really. It was good. They were good times. And you know, you guarantee my mate. I had the Amstrad. My mate had the Commodore 64. He thought, oh, that's good. I'm going to get it for the Commodore 64. He goes, and he did. And sometimes it could be a bit better, or weren't as good. You know, there was differences. That's what I liked about them days. There were differences on different computers or consoles or whatever. It was a great experience. And the arcade, what was the better conversion? Usually, well, I don't know, because Chase HQ was absolutely brilliant on the Amstrad CPC, and it was absolutely awful on the Commodore 64. And then you got Outrun, which I thought was absolutely brilliant on the Commodore 64, and a pile of crap on the Amstrad. And there was a lot of arcade conversions like that. You know, the Amstrad got some good ones, they got some bad ones. US Gold always saw to that the Amstrad got crap conversions. Then you got Ocean Software, which, well, the Amstrad got good conversions. Spectrum also got some good conversions. You know, I don't know much about the MSX, the Acorn, or the BBC, because I only used the BBC at school. The BBC model, what is it? The BBC Micro, whatever it's called, the Model B or something like that, I don't know. And I think we had the BBC Master. We had those old basic, what were they? The research machines, the big research machines, the big black metal things. You know, if you can remember, I think they're called links or so. I don't know. They're all networked together with a green monochrome screen. A green screen or a black and white screen, because our school was so tight to get colour screens. We had a couple of colour screens, but now I think the BBC's had a couple of colour screens, but it was more of those old research machines. Bloody hell, they were old computers. They were massive things. Yeah, we had a couple of BBCs. Because they were very popular in schools, the BBCs. Yeah. So I don't really know too much about like the BBC, the MSX I've never used in my life. Obviously played on the ZX Spectrum, played on the VIC-20, owned an Amstrad, owned a Commodore 64, a mate had the Commodore 64, and there's other machines I just can't remember. The Auric 8, the Aurics I never even heard of back then. It was only recently that someone told me about the Aurics. I never knew they existed. Like the Acorn Archimedes, I never knew about that, because you know, that's my 16-bit. So I knew was the ST and the Amiga. Yeah, the ST and the Amiga. There was another rivalry for you. I don't know. There was the only two 16 bits really, 16-bit computers that it was either the ST or the Amiga. Well, I went for the Amiga route because I thought they were better. Well, they were. Had a more superior sound chip because the ST had a AY chip, which was the same as an Amstrad, which is an 8-bit computer. Why did the bloody 16-bit computer have a 8-bit sound chip? I do not know. You know, the Commodore 64 had a fantastic SID chip. So okay, the AY chip was good too. I'm not going to knock the AY chip, but it was an 8-bit chip. Why was it? What was it doing in a 16-bit computer where the Amiga had such a superior sound chip? It was a brilliant computer, the Amiga. I'm never ever going to knock that computer. I can't knock any computer really, because they were all great in their own right. You're going to have your fanboys, aren't you? You always got fanboys. I think they're just utter wankers, to be honest with you, because usually these are the people that maybe they own a Commodore 64. They've never played on any other system, probably, and they not, oh, that computer's shit. That computer's shit. No, the Commodore 64. How the fuck do you know if you never used another computer? These are the typical fucking fanboys. It ain't just with. It's like this with fucking Xboxes, PlayStation. Oh, this is a better system. How the fuck do you know? It's always been like that. The Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, or the Sega Mega Drive. Oh, this is a better system. Right, they're fucking both great systems. To be honest with you, I never really played on a Sega Mega Drive. I played on a Super Nintendo. Never owned one, but yeah, no, I thought they were great. You can't really, you know, I don't know why people are fanboys of a particular system. I just think fanboys are a bunch of wankers. They always have been. You know, it's a better system. No, how do you know? Or play? No, you haven't. Don't fucking lie. If you have played, you've only played on it once. Oh, you ain't had time to experience it, have you? No, that's why I'm open to all. Okay, I did say the Amiga was a better system than the ST, but I just gave you a reason why I thought it was a better system, because, you know, I honestly thought the Amiga. I'm not going to fucking repeat myself. I'm not Jive Bunny. Yeah, honestly, I'm not a fanboy of. I just preferred the Amiga. I mean, I just thought it was a brilliant computer, to be honest with you. Okay, I did not know what the ST was capable of. It was probably graphically the same as the Amiga, but what put me off was the 8-bit sound chip. Okay, it had MIDI. Okay, the ST had MIDI. It's not a lot of, you know, it's got MIDI. Okay, it's good for like people that make music. But it's no good for it's got fucking AY chip in it. Okay, I'm not gonna knock the AY chip anymore. But it was good in the Amstrad, yes. But for a 16-bit computer, it could have been capable of more. It could have been capable of leveling up to the Amiga, but no. Right, so yeah, this is 16 bits. I think it was it came out in the mid 80s. The Amiga, well, the Amiga 1000 didn't it? Well, it was just called the Amiga, Commodore Amiga. I think it came out in the mid 80s as like a PC type computer. But I think it was way over too expensive. I think that's where the ST was getting out in front there. Then they remade the Amiga, came out with the Amiga 500, and they just started selling like hotcakes. I mean, it was just like the Commodore 64 all over again. I never owned one till the early 90s. 92 I owned my first Amiga, and I'm absolutely glad that I did. It's a shame I didn't buy it earlier, but couldn't afford to at the times. I was learning to drive, doing other things, and one day once that's all over, I bought the Amiga. I just saw how good it was when my mate had it. Oh, brilliant. I had to own one, because the first game I played on that, what my mate, it was that Formula 1 Grand Prix. Okay, might look pretty primitive and very graphically, it's not aged well, but for its time, that was brilliant for its time. I'm not going to knock it. That's why I wanted an Amiga. I had to have an Amiga. Yeah, I made sure that I saved my money up and bought an Amiga. It was the Amiga 500. It was second hand, but I didn't care. I owned an Amiga. Yes, I was very happy at that time. It was, I had a Commodore 64. I bought that in the early 90s. I bought that because I had the Amstrad all through the 80s. I had a Commodore 64 because I think there was problems with my Amstrad. I was just getting a bit fed up with it now. My mate had a Commodore 64, so I know I could get loads of games or play a load of games. So I got the Commodore 64, and after that I got the Amiga 500, and after that I got the Amiga 1200, my first 32-bit computer. Yes, great computer. But after a while, what honestly killed the Amiga? Well, it was the PC. Because the PC, I think IBM, it got their stranglehold on the business market. But I think they wanted more. They could see the gaming industry is big. The gaming industry, massively big, and they saw at the time, I just mentioned them, the Super Nintendo and the Sega Mega Drive going head to head, selling loads of consoles, loads of games, brilliant games, and I think IBM wanted a part of that action. So what did IBM do? They started making, I think they developed Windows 3.1. It probably helped with their gaming. Then I think the CD-ROM was coming. The CD-ROM was invented, and that's why they got that. Wow, the CD-ROM come out. That was it. Okay, it just had the VGA graphics at the time, but also Sound Blaster was coming out with the sound cards. And what did you get? You had real life sounds. Okay, some things were still in MIDI, but the sound effects were getting better. It almost sound good because of this Sound Blaster. I think it was the Sound Blaster 16 at the time. Or was it the AW32? I can't remember. But the sound effects were getting better on the PC. The graphics, and its VGA card. Well, yeah, VGA. I think it had a 256 colour palette at the time. Where the Amiga only had, I don't know, I can't remember the technical specs of the Amiga, but I know the 1200 had the 256 colour palette as well. But I think the Amiga 500 had that. I don't know, I can't remember the technical specifications of it. But the PC was coming. The PC was getting there. It wanted a part of the gaming industry as well. I think IBM wanted that. And it's one of the best now. The PC is one of the best gaming systems on the market. Obviously you've got your budget. You can spend as little or as much as you want on your PC. Yes, it is the best system on the market for gaming. Consoles are, it's a cheaper version, cheaper alternative. They're still great. I'm not going to knock consoles, even though I was never a big fan of consoles. I much preferred computers over consoles, because with computers you can do more, just play games. That's why I preferred computers. I've only owned a couple of consoles in my time, but the IBM PC or whatever, whoever made them. Well, it's all under IBM or IBM compatible. Yeah, so they got their foot on the market. Then the PlayStation came out, the original PlayStation. Now that changed everything. 3D graphics, real life sounds, because it was CD. So basically it played the audio from the CD, and the sound effects, well, graphically, that was just something out of the world. I don't think anyone saw this coming. Sega came out with a Saturn. No, it wasn't going to do it. It just could not compete against the PlayStation. Nothing could. Sega tried bringing out various consoles, so did Nintendo. But no, PlayStation had it. Sony got their footing, and they've got their footing quite quickly and made their mark very quickly. It's a shame for the other, like Sega and Nintendo. Well, Nintendo are still going. I believe they're bringing out a new console soon. But yeah, I owned a Wii. It was good. I like the interaction thing, the wireless. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so I thought the Wii was a great console. It still is a great console. I've never owned a Wii U. No, I don't think they didn't interest me. The Wii U, the screen. I just don't know. Just basically, as I said, no console really interested me. I had the PlayStation 3. I got bored with it, and I wasn't going to get a PlayStation 4 and Xbox One because I've got a PC. Yeah, so I'm going off at a complete tangent here. Yeah, so getting back to gaming. So yeah, the gaming was absolutely brilliant on the PlayStation. So what did IBM do, or someone else? I think it was 3DFX invented the 3D graphics card for the PC. Well, that's what it needed to compete against the PlayStation, because IBM wanted to be a gaming system as well as a business machine. You know, IBM wanted everything. Microsoft, Bill Gates, he wanted to corner the market on everything, gaming as well as business. So then he invented Windows 95. Great. Well, yeah, it was better than Windows 3.1. Yeah, Windows 95 and 98 being similar to 95. I'm not talking about fucking operating systems here. Nah, that'd just take the piss if I do. Yeah, so where was I with gaming? Yeah, the PlayStation, IBM, PC, the Amiga was finished. The Amiga was finished because it could not, because it just couldn't do 3D graphics. It just didn't have a 3D graphics chip. And so what did they do? I know they brought out the bloody console of the Amiga 1200. Always a big mistake. Always a big mistake to bring out a console based on the computer. They did it with the Commodore 64, which the game system, the Commodore 64 GS. Now that was a utter shit, now wasn't it? What was the point in that? It was just basically a consoleized version of a Commodore 64 without a keyboard, without, I think it had the same motherboard as the Commodore 64, just obviously with a different chip or something, because you have to insert a cartridge, so it didn't come up with the basic screen, it come up with something else. But you know, if you was going to buy a Commodore 64 or the GS, buy the Commodore 64. It was a lot better. Same with the Amiga console, the CD32. Never do that. Never buy a console that's based on a computer. But then I'm going to have a go at Amstrad. Don't think they're going to get out of it, very likely. Amstrad, 1990. The year was 1990. The Amstrad CPC range was in full swing, selling computers, doing very well, just like the Commodore 64, the Amiga, you know, because different people have different budgets, couldn't afford an Amiga at the time, so they had their old 8-bit computers. So what happened in 1990? Amstrad decided to bring out the Plus range, the 464 Plus, the 6128 Plus, and the console version of these two computers, the GX4000. Yes, very well, these were good computers, but there was only one problem. It came out too fucking late. 1990, Christmas 1990, I believe these were coming for, just before that. It was coming up to 1991 where we had the Sega Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo. Well, that was going to be released. The Amiga was out. You know, these Amstrad brought these out at the wrong time. Amstrad 464, the Plus ranges, now featured hardware and hardware scrolling, hardware sprites, hardware scrolling chip. Something that the Commodore 64 had back in 1982. And Amstrad just, oh, we better have hardware scrolling, hardware sprites. That'll help it sell, won't it? We can sell these, yeah, but you're too late. What else? It had an advanced colour palette of something in the region of a Commodore Amiga. Well, the Commodore Amiga had this in 1987. Or did it have it in 1985? Anyway, Amstrad was way too late. And you think you was going to release these computers knowing that they was going to sell. They didn't fucking sell, did they? And you know, the price range wasn't exactly cheap. The 464 Plus, I think, was £350. I think the other one was £450. I don't know, £400. The GX4000 was priced at £99. £99.99p or something like that. Well, the Amiga wasn't that much dearer. If you're going to buy a computer, you'll buy the Amiga or the ST. A new Amstrad comes out, ain't going to cut it. It's an 8-bit computer. Come on, 8-bit was going out. You know, the 16-bit era was taking off. It was coming. 8-bit, you know, was slowly coming to an end. So they did that. Bad call on Amstrad. Like it was bad call on Commodore when they brought out the console version of the computers. And that's that. That's I think we're going along the path. What else? What am I talking about now? You say after that it was the console wars of Sega and Nintendo. I think Nintendo, after the Super Nintendo, they went a bit quiet, didn't they? They went a bit quiet. But Sega was trying to rival Sony, but it wasn't working. Sony had the PlayStation. Nothing really could touch it. And Nintendo come back with the N64. Oh dear. That didn't really, well, it didn't really stand a chance, did it? Okay, I've only ever used it once. I only played on it once, I think, the N64, but it couldn't challenge the... I think the problem with Nintendo, they were still using cartridges, and cartridges were very expensive, where the Sony PlayStation was using optical media, that's CD, which is a cheaper medium. So they could sell their games at probably a lower price. So Sony was still in the lead. So then we come to the, I guess we've covered the 90s now, so we're coming up to the 2000s. And what happens in the 2000s? PC was still good. Sony comes out with a PlayStation 2. Wow. Now that was a great console. Sony have done it again. Produced a great console. Nothing really could touch it. I think by then Sega have gone. Nintendo have gone quiet again. Because I think Nintendo was more into the handheld systems now. I think they was just trying to bring out the handheld systems. No, they brought out the GameCube. I think they come out with the GameCube. I don't know when, but yeah, the GameCube. Then Microsoft came and brought out the Xbox. I think this is the time when The games were starting to look similar with the Xbox and the PlayStation 2. The games were looking graphically similar. Sounds, well, they're more real life, realistic sounds these days. I mean, them days, the 2000s, or even the 90s, the sounds were pretty much good. Nintendo went their own way with their games, which was good, because they was bringing out more the old stuff like Mario and the platformers, and where the Xbox and Sony was more into more serious gaming and driving experience, like shooting off, the first personal shooters and all that, more of the serious gamer, where the Nintendo was going for that old, the old style of gaming, which is good, something a little bit different from everything else. So PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360. It was basically Sony versus Microsoft and Nintendo, but Nintendo always had a different, people like the Nintendo for different reasons. I think Nintendos were good. Like the Wii was good. I like the Wii because they come out with something so different, and that was good. But now we're talking about the present times of gaming. Present times. Now we're talking about the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, PC. To me, gaming has just got boring. It's just the same thing nowadays. I'm not having a go at gaming. I just think, compared to what we had back then and compared to what we got now, okay, graphics, amazingly brilliant, and with sounds obviously being more absolutely realistic. Gameplay itself, to me, seems to be getting boring. It's just the same thing. I like Grand Theft Auto 5 though. For a modern game, I like that. But we're not going to talk about that. It's just basically getting samey. It's not much genre of games, is there? It's just like we had back in the day. It was loads of genres of games. You can't really, what one's the better graphics, what one's the better games, because they're exactly the same. You're either a fanboy, you either like your Xbox or you like your PlayStation. Me, I'd rather have a PC. But now we have virtual reality. Virtual reality's been going for about 25 years. It's not new technology, but it's new for the home user, for their own console, their own computer. Never had that back in the day. It's usually at fairs, or not fairs, virtual reality places where they usually do it. You couldn't use it on your own system, and now it is something I would like to experience. Yes, because I've got a mate at work. He said it's absolutely brilliant. It's a good experience. Something, yes, I would, but at the moment, because it's a new to own systems, so the prices are going to be high. So I'm going to wait maybe like a year or something until the prices come down. Other developers get involved. Games are quite expensive for them, so I'm willing to wait from a year or 2 years when prices start coming down, becoming more widespread. So now it just leads to the future of gaming. The future, well, I can see the future being virtual reality. We won't need a computer screen in front of us. Everything that we've done, we're in your thing. You can got like a travel or even a pair of glasses. You got a pair of glasses on, and that is everything you need. you can do everything. If you've got a little pocket keyboard, a little pocket keyboard and a pair of these glasses, that's all you need. That would be everything. Communication, your gaming, whatever. You can go to work, got these glasses on, or you can go into a server or something like that with a password or whatever, and you don't have to be at a computer. You can just go around wherever you are, where you're working. You've got your pocket keyboard with you, and you've got these glasses on. And these glasses, it's sort of like you can obviously you don't just see the screen, you can still see. Or you got one with a screen and the other one, I don't know. Or you can change it, I don't know. It is. I think that's going to be the future, but not also all gaming. These special glasses, or something you put around. You've got an image basically. That I honestly think that would be the future of everything. Don't even need a mobile phone because you can just take calls. You've got an earpiece in your ear. I mean, these guys have a microphone in it, so you'll be talking like you would on a normal telephone, but it'll be your communications device, it'll be everything, your gaming device. That's what it'll be. That I think will be the future. Don't know when in the future, because if we got these virtual reality things now, who knows how long it'll take. Technology moves so quickly these days, and we've come a long way in the last 30 years. Maybe 40 or longer than that. But yeah, I think this video is going way too long. I didn't expect it to go this long. I've been waffling quite a bit here. No drinks today. I tried to keep this one serious, but but yeah, so that is the past, the present and the future of gaming. Yeah, tell us your thoughts. What do you think? Anyway, I'm going to end this video now. I think it's about time. Till next time, goodbye.